As usual with any video that I share items with, particularly my hauls, I like to share the larger items first, and that's what we're going to do. So I found this, I think the first flea market we ever went to, and it was the best. I bought so much stuff. I think I spent over $140. Made all that back with a fragrance, so I was really happy about that. I got this, I think this is from 1968, 1969. Yep, it's made by Empire, 1968. I've been wanting this guy for a while. I've seen him at a couple of antique shops, and I just was not willing to spend the $20 that vendors were asking. I got him for $3. I have not bought a vintage blow mold for that cheap, and I can't tell you how long. Years, because these have just gotten really popular, and people just know what they are, and I was just happy to get this cheap. And while it's rough, I mean, as you can see, the top of his hat is a little messed up. I don't care, because this is over 50 years old, and it's still in good shape, considering that. So this was a very fun find, and I think I got this either the first or second trip that we made to the flea market. Now, it was a little pricey, I will admit that. I did pay 12 bucks for this. I think it was in the last row of this market, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. So I went back to the car, was waiting outside because I didn't have a key to get in. So I looked it up and I was like, okay, you know, this is really cool, and I liked looking through it. And I said, you know, after seeing the comps, someone had bought one that was in better shape for 40 bucks. I don't remember exactly how much it actually sold for. I'd have to relook at the comps on eBay for that. But I went back to him and I only had $12 left. He originally quoted me 20, and I told him, I said, would you be willing to take 12 for it? And he kind of hesitated at first. He's like, oh, I don't know. And then once he really saw that I wasn't lying to him, that's all I had in my wallet, he was kind enough and he took the 12 bucks. So that's a little much for a vintage catalog, but this is a Christmas version, and that's usually what a lot of people like to look at. I've seen Sears catalogs from the 70s, like the late 70s, like pushing into the 80s, and they just don't compare to the ones from like the 60s, the 50s and the 60s, and possibly earlier than that. Now, it is hard to look through these because the pages are so brittle. I mean, this is a 57-year-old catalog, or almost 57-year-old catalog. I tried scanning some of these in, or like some of the pages in with my scanner on my printer, but they just came out real fuzzy, so I'm gonna just share a little bit of the images with you, but it's not gonna be much because I promise you it just doesn't do it justice. Like anybody who loves vintage Christmas, look at that. Let me focus on it for you. Like, look at that vintage wrapping paper. And look at the ornaments. I like that Santa. It's right there. So that's the first one. So that's really cool. And the next one I got a separate time. This one's from 1959, and it's smaller. It's also for Ward's, or Montgomery Ward's. I think Montgomery Ward's department store, I think they don't actually have any stores anymore. I think they have an online thing that I remember from researching, but I think that might just be it. And this has just got really neat graphics in it too. This one's really hard to open. Just look at the style of all this stuff. Like, it just is not, it just doesn't compare to what is out there now. What's that colorful page? For luggage, I mean, just look at this stuff. Like, this is just, I mean, a throwback to some of you all, but it just doesn't, it's just amazing to look through this and see what was being offered for sale and what was trendy back then, and it's just such a neat piece to look through, and I will never ever part with these because I love them so much. Look at that for Wells Fargo. That is just killer. There's ones for trucks, and just a throwback. I love this stuff so much. So yeah, I mean, these are just incredible pieces to look through, and sometimes it's even cool to see something that you actually own in one of these catalogs, especially if you're having a hard time dating something. Again, I believe I bought these when we went to the flea market the first week that it had opened, or the second week that it had opened. And I got really lucky and I scored these 3 vintage Christmas Pixies. I call them Pixies from the 60s because it just sounds cool. And I paid 10 bucks for the 3 of them, so that was $3.33 each. This one has to be my favorite of all time. Whoops, sorry guys. It's the, and they're all knee huggers. I don't know if I said that or not. But I just love the striped pajama Pixie. That is killer. And then these two are very cute as well. I like that they kind of, my gosh. I just like that they kind of coordinate each other. Like this one's wearing a green outfit and he's got red, and then this one's wearing red and he's got little green parts to him. So yeah, I didn't think 10 bucks for the 3 of those was a lot to ask. And I know that sometimes at antique malls, and actually I can prove this myself, I've seen someone try to ask like $21 for just one like this, and there's no way you can get that. Not even for one, unless it's like really rare or unusual on eBay. So I know there's tons of them out there, so if you're a Pixie lover, they're out there. Just keep your eyes peeled and don't go anywhere with the anticipation of looking for something, especially because I wasn't looking for these, they just kind of happened to be there when I showed up at this one person's space. So always go to a thrift store, an antique store, a yard sale, a flea market with an open mind and not anything specific, because that's usually when you can find things that you're looking for and or have been wanting. It happened to me with the Avon Mermaid decanter, and I haven't seen one of those in years. We can make them a thumbnail. Let's see if this will work. So these were recent flea market pickups. Again, I'm going to be saying they're from the flea market because that's mostly where I've been getting all this vintage stuff, seasonal wise. So this came from a charity. Actually, I think both of these came from a charity to help support animals. So the Scotch freezer tape is still in there. I paid 50 cents for that. Maybe it was, no, I think it was a quarter. It may have been a quarter. I think it was 25 cents. And then I got this Whitman book for 25 cents as well. It's The Night Before Christmas. And the images in this book are just amazing. Now, this isn't a first edition. However, I don't really think that that affects the value too much because these books aren't worth that much money anyway, so... But just look at, I mean, a lot of this stuff isn't really my style personally, but you can definitely tell the age of it. I mean, look, because you've got the hanging oil lamp, like the Gone with the Wind lamp. You've got the same here on the table here. You've got candles in the Christmas tree, which I don't know anybody who does that anymore because that's probably much of a fire hazard, so I'm sure they just use electric candles nowadays. But it's very old-fashioned, and that's what I like about it. So I really couldn't say no to that, and I like vintage Christmas books. And the weird thing is I like the holiday season, Christmas, but being a retail worker and being in it for 6 years, it just turns me into a Grinch every year, and I hate it. Because it's one of my favorite times of year, next to Halloween, of course, and actually summertime, Christmas, and then Halloween. Halloween I've kind of slowly but surely grown apart from because I don't know. I've never liked giving out candy. I just think it's weird. Maybe it's just because I'm not much of a kid. Like I feel like I have a little bit more maturity in a way. Not that I dislike kids. My brother's more, he connects with kids better than I do. Let's just put it that way. I connect more with adults and kids that are in my family, like ones that I have gotten to know and that I know on a personal level. I hope you all are getting what I'm trying to say. So moving right along, I found this little guy here, this Santa Claus on a sleigh, at one of my local antique shops. He was, I think, like $3.75 or something like that. Now, the person who had a bunch of this holiday decor had I think like 2 or 3 of these in the case, and they wanted $15 for them. And it wasn't until I got home that I realized that the sled was broken here. But that doesn't bother me at all, because you know what, this stuff is old, and this to me says that it was loved and somebody enjoyed it for the time that these were in circulation. And I think that little loop right here, where I guess you could hang it on the tree at some point in time, has been broken off too, but I don't care. Vintage is supposed to be all messed up and broken and fun. I mean, of course, it's great to find something that's intact that was from years ago, but you know, the dents and the dings and the breaks and the cracks and the chippy whippies and the cracky wackies and the holy woolies and the chunky wonkies are what make vintage vintage, and they tell a story. And what's funny is, after the states uplifted the statewide quarantine, I visited this antique mall where I got this. And the person who had all of this holiday stuff, and they were there for years and years and years, they weren't there anymore. So I'm wondering if either the owner of that booth passed away, or if they just felt that it wasn't smart to keep that booth after COVID, because these, you know, the shop wasn't open, so they weren't making any money, and I'm sure they had to pay rent. But who knows? I mean, I'm hoping that this person didn't pass away, because that would be awful. Now this I got again at one of the markets. I paid $1 for it, I think. It's one of those Hazel Atlas Tom and Jerry mugs that go with the punch bowl set. And yeah, I kind of thought that that was hard to leave behind, because I love the images on it. But it's definitely cool, and you know, I don't want to spend a great deal of money on one set of something, like a complete set of something. I would rather find it individually, that way you can get it cheaper. That's what I did with the Pyrex nesting bowl set, the primary colors from like the mid 40s into the 50s, the ones that you see in I Love Lucy. And you know, I spent way less on that set as a whole than I would have had I bought it all together, either on eBay or at an antique mall. However, one of the antique malls I just visited recently had a set for $55, and it was in good shape, and that's the cheapest I've seen it anywhere. So anybody who was looking to get a set of those for quote unquote cheap, that was a really good deal on my part, but it was too much for me personally. So yeah, that was just a really fun find, and if I can build up the collection of these and be able to display it at Christmas time at some point, I have no problem whatsoever building it up slowly. I don't need to get it all at once. So that was pretty much all of the smaller stuff, and now we're going to be getting into possibly my 2 favorite finds for this Thriftmas video. So I was really curious as to what this item was when I found it. I got it at one of my thrift stores in town for 75 cents. I said to myself, if I find out that it's not vintage, I will just go ahead and redonate it, and I think I mentioned that in the haul video that this was featured in. And one of the viewers commented and said, no, don't you dare donate that. That is a steal at 75 cents. And, you know, at first I thought it was just like some weird modern piece of, like, it's a candle. It's a fairy lamp. Let me just tell you that's what it is, if you don't know. And I just thought it was one of those, like, modern candle votives that you would get at, like, Walmart or something. But come to find out, this is from it's between the years 1971 and 1979. It's a Santa Claus Fenton fairy lamp. And again, it's in Amberina, and I paid 75 cents for it. Had no idea that it was a vintage piece, nor did I even know what the heck it was. Now, oh yeah, I still kept the 75-cent price tag on it. There you go. Now, some of these, the Fenton logo is raised on the bottom, and some of them, I guess, came with a paper label. This one probably came with a paper one at some point in time. But I was really shocked to see that this has some value, especially at Christmas time. I know that Jocelyn, Crazy Lamp Lady, actually found one of these, and she sold one for good money. But, I mean, this thing doesn't have a cracker chip on it, and it's in pretty darn good shape. I mean, given that it's only from the 70s, and, well, I guess the 70s are kind of creeping up there in age now. Sorry, anyone born in the 70s, including you, Mom. But yeah, it's definitely got some age, and I'm very, very thrilled to be able to own one of these, especially not knowing that I wanted one until I came across it. So, yeah, that is the first piece of the two pieces that are my favorite for this collab. So let's go ahead and we can check out the last item, and we will conclude this Thriftmas collab video. To conclude this Thriftmas in July collab, I would like to share my most favorite and probably my most expensive vintage piece of Christmas that I have bought. This is a full-bodied Santa Claus Pez that was made in the 50s. I bought this from an antique shop that is no longer in business. I was really sad to see them go. However, their selection didn't change very much. It was out in Greencastle, Pennsylvania, so like not even a 15-minute drive from my house. But yeah, I did pay, well, let's see, they were originally asking $50 for it, and they were offering 25% off, so I did pay $37.50 for this. However, visiting another place, another flea market-y indoor vendor mall place, I found some products that I bought, paid up for those too, but they did sell for really good money, paid off everything I bought at the flea market, and paid off everything I got at the antique mall. I bought this along with that tin jack-o'-lantern, which was a really good find for $8. But yeah, this is paid for, so I knew that I was paying up for it. However, I also knew that with what I bought, I was able to make a profit and pay for everything that I was keeping. So I didn't mind that because this little guy is paid for despite the $37 charge. Now, I did look it up in the mall just to make sure that what I was paying was worth it, and it's only worth about like 50 to 60 bucks, but then again, it's not Christmas time, and yeah, so I'm sure at Christmas time this will sell, or would sell, for a whole lot more, just because of the time of year. But yeah, I love him, and I don't own any Pez dispensers really, other than this one. I'm not crazy about the modern ones, I like the older ones, but I'm not really looking for them. I mean, if I come across one here or there and it's older, and I know a little bit about that because my dad's got Pez dispenser background because he collected for over 2 decades. But yeah, he's definitely cool, and I apologize if this camera is shaky. I'm actually holding it, not propped up on a tripod for this. So I hope you all enjoyed my Thriftmas in July collab. Be sure and check out the playlist for all the other YouTubers who participated in this challenge / haul. And I hope to see you all soon in one of my other videos. Take care. Bye, guys.
So that's all I have for you today. Be sure and give this video a big thumbs up, leave a comment below, subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell next to the subscribe button if you'd like to know when new videos are posted. All of the links to my social media accounts via Instagram are down below as well, where you will see pictures of items to come in future haul videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you all soon. Bye, guys!